Welcome everyone to the Goddess Temple. My name is Chris. For today's message, um, it's going to be a little bit more on a lighter side. So, why do I say that? Well, it's this time and this place where everything is we're just working out wonderfully. Everything is just so peaceful. Everyone's laughing. The bad days are not there. It's just purely good moments, laughter. You have so much energy, you have so much to give. You can just get anything and everything done so quickly. And it's like everyone else is so ready and willing to help out, you know? Everyone has their purpose, and they're just so happy and excited to help out. And so they do, right? And that's it. And then you get a little bored maybe and wonder, is that all there is to it? What more is available? The thing is, it's actually a good question to ask. What more is available? So half the time that people cause chaos is because they're not stimulated enough. That's the harsh truth. This could even be you, right? You're just not stimulated enough. You just don't have something to do, something to give. And even the good, even the most calm, fun things become a bit monotonous, it becomes very monotone like, and it's just, I know I just repeated myself, but just pretend that I just said it once. But yes, so it just becomes so monotonous, and you're like, okay, so this is good. I like this. And then this is where things kind of get a bit more interesting, where you realize that you don't have to cause chaos or go hunting for chaos. You can ask a question like, you know what, I do want something to do. What is there of what's available? What can I do when I'm bored? And that's the one thing about humans. We have such an abundance of being helpful, being supportive, doing something, right? So what more can you give so you can do more? Like, what can you play with? Who can you be? Who can you become? What are stories and analogies that you're working towards? What are certain dynamics and relationships that you're playing with? How can you improve on the things that you've been continuing to build, right? You're never going to have, you're never going to reach the end goal and feel like you have nothing to do. No. There is always going to be a layer of finding the solution and then practicing it and then continuing to practice it and then coming up against someone that's like, that disproves you, that goes out of their way to disprove you. And then that kind of displaces you, right? It disturbs you, it makes you feel uncomfortable and angry, even because they're not seeing the truth, the truthfulness that you have, the kindness that you have, the humanness that you are. They're not compassionate with you. And so you go on this other journey of magically manifesting chaos and finding a solution through it. But at the end of the day, there's one underlying theme that you're working through, and that's to pretty much improve and perfect the human that you are, to master the human that you are here to be. No one's going to tell you how to be you or if you're doing it right and wrong. Even though people like to, put on that hat and judge and dissect everything that you do, and it's fun, and at the same time it's a bit annoying, right? I know I've been the one that's been judged, and I've been the one that also judges. It's it's the part about being human. You're human when you judge, and you're still human when you absorb that judgment. And you're human when you internalize that judgment. You're human when you force someone to change. You're human. Through all of this, you're human. And the one thing about being human is that you will learn how to move through it. You'll learn how to fix it. You'll learn how to correct yourself. Because you're not there to ever cause harm. It doesn't feel good. You know that. Every human has this natural, okay, maybe not every human, there is a select handful, literally a handful, that genuinely cannot understand. They don't have the neural pathways nor the sensory input to be able to process emotion and to feel empathy. They genuinely do not have that. Or even some just genuinely do not have the capacity to um, put themselves in someone else's shoes and to see the experience that this other person may be having, and to be a bit more compassionate, to be gentle with the words, to be a bit more creative with how you approach and communicate, right? Now, that level of capacity, that level of perfection, it becomes the story of the lover boy, lover girl uh, type of scenario. And so that depiction, it kind of, I'm gonna bring in a little bit of spiritual slash religious mythology here. And so that depiction is actually what Krishna is, and how Krishna has the capacity to mesmerize and captivate, someone, to truly use pleasure, use kindness to gracefully guide you into this place of the darkness, the truth, and for you to move through the truth, for you to align with truth, for you to bring yourself back into balance, for you to, in a kind way, see how you are human and that you can forgive yourself, and for you to also acknowledge and realize that you've been harmful and mean um, and quite dismissive of how you are impacting someone. And with gentleness, you move through the capacity to navigate through the discomforts, through the stories, through the internal dialogue with compassion. With stillness, you begin to understand what the chaos is, what wants to leave with grace and ease. And then there's another little part that says, I will destroy and see truth for what it is, and I will make you see it, and I will make myself see it, and I will force it, and it'll be beautiful, and it'll be chaotic, and it'll be just raw. That level of journey, it ties in with the concept of Kali. How she's not the mother, and yet she gives you the raw truth, and it's actually quite challenging to see, to feel, to embody, to soak into, and it's powerfully challenging. It's something just you cannot lean into it. And at the same time, you have no choice but to surrender. To surrender to the chaos of the destruction. To acknowledge that something is actually being destroyed. That's something. So, moving through these polarities, moving through these dynamics within yourself, to understand that boredom isn't a place of what else is there to do. It's you go into this void space. You're from this place of pleasure, of ease, of whatever it is. Okay, maybe not whatever it is, but of calmness, that you find yourself so still that you begin to create life with such ease that it's, you know what to take away and what to put in, like what's new that's going to be birthing through you. You're comfortable with sitting in that space. And at the same time, you know that it's okay if destruction comes in and it's forceful and it's disturbing. It's highly uncomfortable because you have been dishonoring yourself, displeasing yourself. And so both journeys do allow you to come into boredom, come into stillness, come into nothingness. And you can come into that place with achieving all your goals, doing all your tasks, speeding up that time, slowing down the time. Or you can do it because, well, you have no choice, because you have not been listening and you've been just constantly going, moving, doing, and just running through whatever it is that is coming at you, life that's moving you. You're just constantly doing, and you're like, what the heck? So with force, you have to destroy that. It's with force that you have to, that you have to come into a place where you actually actively have to let go of it, because the time has come for it to end, because you know that it's just time for death. And you don't know to what extent that you have been moving through a time, a journey where it's through ease or it's through difficulty and through force, and you can't decide. I mean, you can prior hand, so setting an intention prior hand to stepping into a new journey, of course, but at the same time, you don't know where your blind spots are until you're there. So that's something that you do have to move through and take accountability for the way that you're showing up. That's what makes you an adult. That's what makes you a conscious, you know, why are the words, I'm having trouble with words today. Okay. So, yeah, just being a conscious adult that's quite deliberate, that knows how to justify, not only justify to protect, but also justify to hold yourself accountable, and to know that you're not um, leaving the room and space for someone to completely wreak havoc on you. But at the same time, you're not afraid to actually say that, you know what, I've messed up. To own it. To own your actions, whether it's good or bad. To own it. To hold yourself accountable. That's a fine little line, and you can think about how to hold yourself accountable all that you want. And then there's going to be a point where you do have to start living life and trying things out and seeing what's actually going to work and what isn't. And to correct yourself when you've been messing up. and to continue to do this over and over and over again. Not because it becomes boring and monotonous, but because you begin to learn that life can be fun and playful, and that you can try one thing, perfect it, master it. And eventually you start to see the pattern of what you're actually here to live, and the thing that you do with life and in life, you'll never get bored of doing. You'll never complain about it. You might, but at the same time, even through all the complaining and even through all the discomfort, you'll be like, I'll still do it again. I'll still choose the same thing again. Why? Because it just feels right. And the sense of feeling something, the sense of something feeling right for you, it's an intuitive knowing. It's a truth. And truth is very much so subjective. At every stage of your life, there is always going to be a new truth. That's all that it is. You know, the truth of the way that even our ancestors have lived. I'm not going to say ancestors, maybe not that long ago, but like a good 50 years ago, the way that society was, it was truthful then. You know, it was perfect. But the long-term use of it and the long-term practice of it, it was not sustainable. And it wasn't taking into consideration also the people that were wanting to move and interact with life and wanting growth, right? We always want to improve ourselves. We always want to grow. So it's truly seeing this balance and seeing the way that life wants to move. Because our external environment, I don't mean humans, I'm talking about Earth. Even just the way that we've been practicing things. We can go off balance, and there is a way that it balances itself out. Life will always balance itself out, and life will always give inspirations for the people to find solutions, right? At the core, humans are not bad. Now, however we're made up, the little mix match pieces of us, it needs improvement. You know, we're learning to grow as a collective and not to be an individual, not to be only an individual growth. Right now we're in a phase where it's heavily focused on individual growth, and it's not communal based growth. Not just yet. Eventually we'll be able to implement all the things that we're learning on an individual level for us to apply it on a more global scale, for us to apply it more on a communal scale. And there's a lot of great things that our ancestors have done that people have lived and shared. There's wisdom there, right? And it's, how do you make use of wisdom? Wisdom is subjective. It inspires you, not the next door person. It inspires them in whatever way that inspires them. But there's something that inspires you. Listen to it, act on it, move. Because the thing that inspires you, it's not that, oh, it's going to go knock on someone else's door. To a certain extent, it does. But at the same time, it doesn't. Because whatever's knocking on your door is knocking on your door. You know, all those components, everything that you see is your truth. And so you're always being guided towards being woken up to make sure that you're not only living a monotonous life, but you're also living an abundant, what's the word for it? A very colorful life. Colorful is not the right word either, but it's very interactive. It's highly interactive, highly stimulating, and it's the opposite of that. And it's important to have the capacity to move through both, because both teach you a lot about yourself. Both teaches you what it means for you to be human, what it means for you to live on earth, to have this human earthly experience. The thing is, earth most definitely is a dualistic, dense reality. And so play with that. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. And of course, there is such a thing as actually going overboard and actually harming someone. And that also includes yourself. But at the same time, you still have an opportunity to rectify it. And so I really hope that this inspires you in some way and that it lands in a way where it doesn't justify why you should seek justice and harm someone. No, you shouldn't. It's this is not the message for that. But I really hope that this inspires you to live a more balanced, harmonious, soft and gentle life where it allows you to have peace around you. And the more that you own and accept that there is peace available, that if there's peace available for you, then there's peace available for someone else. And that everyone has their own definition and understanding of it, and it's valid. There's something beautiful in that. So I do hope that this supports you in the way that it does. And I wish you guys all the best, and I will speak to you soon.